What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Infinity Pool. This movie is written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, the son of David Cronenberg, and I believe this is his third film. The first one being Antiviral, and the second one being Possessor, which I absolutely enjoyed a couple years back. He has recruited the talents of Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth as we follow the story of James and M. Foster enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation on the fictional island of Latoka when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture, including hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. Once again, Cronenberg Jr. has preceded his expectations of the things he would definitely have in his films, such as depravity, seduction, and hedonism. And simplistically putting it, it's a fucked up, psychedelic episode of The White Lotus meets A Clockwork Orange. As a filmmaker, as a visual storyteller, seeing what Cronenberg was able to leave as a signature on a movie like Possessor, I was very excited to learn that he recruited the talents of Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, who were definite standouts, especially in the movies like last year's The Northman, and Mia Goth did two movies back to back, which were X and Pearl by T. West, and I gotta say, their performances were tantalizing gold. The entire movie felt like a fever dream, whether that would be the cinematography or the way the lighting would just wash out a lot of things on frame, or the fact that Alexander Skarsgård would question his location, the whereabouts of where they were going on vacation, and it was until they get to the second act, I was just like, we're in for a ride. And they introduced this thing called the double. And I don't want to give too much away, but we're going to go with that. We're going to call it the double. And I just wanted them to lean more into it. There was just so much questions, so much things that were left to be desired, especially with this sci-fi element, this program. I just wanted to know, why, the why of its existence, and how the whole processing thing works in this world. And then Goth's character introduces Skarsgård to a bunch of wealthy acquaintances who establish themselves as the zombies. And then things that transpire from there, they strap on masks and just wreak havoc on the locals and the lower classes. And it gets a little more on the helter skelter type of vibe. But if I'm going to be honest, I wish they really leaned into it, just kind of push the boundaries of the brutality and the sadisticness. Yeah, I'm fucking sick. Cronenberg did screen the original NC-17 version at the festival, but in order to claim the R rating and to be able to screen this in a worldwide theatrical release, he had to trim down scenes that involved the ejaculation, the group orgy, and the adult breastfeeding. Trust me, those scenes are in there, and I would have loved to see that particular version, but the excess was worth leaving on the cutting room floor. I mean, again, like I said, when I pay to see a Cronenberg movie, I expect boundaries to be pushed till they fall off the edge, of course. Speaking of pushing boundaries, there are sequences that trigger epilepsy and photosensitivity, so I warn you with caution. Watch this at your own risk. I had two people walk out of my auditorium because the flashing lights and the distorted images went for 2 minutes too long. Or maybe it was the orgy scene that went on too long. I don't know. There is a lot of symbolism, hidden meanings, and reflections that ignite my curiosity of the ambiguity that plays out. Kind of like Jordan Peele's Nope, where there are so many ways where you could dissect it, where there is so many straws in order to grasp in one take. On a perspective of social commentary, you could probably chuck this into the category of Eat the Rich, where the rich would pay their way out of taking responsibilities for their own actions, as well as the masks that they wear becoming a mockery of the culture. And there is an underlying tension between the locals and the tourists, but still being codependent on one another for survival and personal gain. On a spiritual theory, Goth could be playing the devil, her followers could be demons, and they are getting their desires and pleasures fulfilled by putting Skarsgård through all these horrific trials. And even when Skarsgård is forced to watch or take action against his particular double, it takes away a little bit of his soul and his humanity. Earlier, when I mentioned that this could be a fever dream, maybe the whole thing isn't real. Maybe it's all up in Skarsgård's head, and he is just gaining this as an inspiration for his next book because he is a writer. On a more reflective meaning, it could be about Brandon Cronenberg himself having to deal with the pressure of following into the footsteps and shadow of his father as a writer or a filmmaker, and even having the imposter syndrome of having to outdo oneself, having to doubt oneself, especially with his success in the film industry so far. And no matter how you want to cut this cake, you're going to need a razor sharp edge to get it done. The performances here are gloriously deranged, with a story so perverse and provocative that it'll leave you desiring for more. Cronenberg has yet delivered another taut, twisted, and mind imploding thriller. Alright, guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out at your own risk. It's still playing in theaters. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews. I am Jaren Agbanawag, and I will see you guys at the movies. Take care. Killer, killer, killer.